Welcome to another episode of the School Podcast. Today we have a slightly different setup. Today we have Miriam, and we've been planning this one for a little while, haven't we?
Have.
And before I introduce Miriam, I just want to quickly show her book, From Hood to Headship. This is a phenomenal book. You have to check it out. But of course, in this podcast, we're going to dive into her story, her challenges, what she's focused on, what's next, etc., etc., etc. Like anything, this podcast is going to be full of value. Miriam, how are we?
I'm very, very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting us to South Harrow.
Yep.
In London. So we've been trying to get this going for a little while.
Yeah.
And just for context for everyone at home watching this and on the audio, I've also just delivered a Year 10 assembly for you.
An amazing assembly you did.
Thank
Come
you.
on, seriously.
But before we get into the assembly, I just have to say one thing that I do, and I rock up to a school wearing my hoodie and my trainers, but I pay attention to absolutely everything, from reception to teachers to like you just picking up litter, walking around. I pick up on absolutely everything.
Gosh, you do.
One thing that you've done is build a culture in the school where the kids put their hands up, willing to call out, and like when I ask them to, they brought the energy. And sometimes doing what I do, you're kind of only as good as the audience.
Yeah.
Because if the audience is quiet, too scared to talk, put their hand up, participate, then it kind of makes my session not as good.
I agree.
And so the culture that you have built for, I guess, a culture of creativity, but also respect, it's been amazing. So thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Do you know what? Thank you for those kind words. I'll pass it on to the students and the staff as well.
I'm
so pleased. It was an amazing assembly, Cameron.
Was it better than you thought?
No, it was as good as I thought, because I think you are a very inspirational young man.
Thank you.
And I whipped around the staff. How was that? And they all said, that was wicked. Can we have him for the rest of the year groups? Can we have him back?
Sorry, we're only doing one podcast. Right? So quickly, talk to me. So you're on holiday somewhere and somebody says, what do you do? How would you describe yourself?
Interesting. I have many hats. I am first a human being and a mum.
Okay.
That is my first port of call. But then in my profession, I'm a head teacher of a secondary school.
Okay.
A large secondary school.
How long have you been a head teacher for?
So I joined as a head teacher in 2019, so 6 years. So the end of this one will be my 7th year. So I'm still a baby in headship. That's what I call myself anyway.
So for 6 years, I guess you kind of joined and COVID happened.
Yep, baptism fire. So 2019 I joined, thinking, wow, exciting, headship.
Yeah.
March the 20th.
Was that September?
Well, it started September 2019.
Yeah.
March the 20th, schools closed.
Yeah, I remember.
But before that, if you think about it, COVID had actually begun, but we hadn't really got the wheels turning and understanding. And that was just a baptism fire. It was so hard. Such a difficult headship to start with.
What did you learn through that time? Going off, was there something?
Yeah, I learned a few things. I learned that when you believe in something, in change, stick with it, because you're going to have a lot of naysayers out of fear. I also learned that I felt like I was the mum of the school. That I needed to look after others, and looking after people's well-being at a time like the pandemic was so critical. But I also, more importantly, learned I couldn't do it all on my own.
Yeah.
You don't have all the answers. And I think I did go into headship with a little bit of, I'm in the most senior position in a school, I need to know, and I've got this fear. So I read, I had a holiday, but I read all about first steps in headship, the first 100 days, what you need to do, all of that sort of stuff, just to make sure I'm prepared. But that doesn't help you to do everything. You can't. You need a team.
Yeah. Yeah, we could get into having a team, but also it's like anything, isn't it? You can read as much as you want. How do you learn how to swim? You don't read a book about swimming. You just got to swim. You got to learn by doing the hard work, I guess. So in that, and I won't really plan on talking about it, but a good couple of questions have come to my mind. So would you say, now having COVID there, and that was your first year headship, do you think that whole process for that 2-3 years and beyond really, do you reckon that's made you a better head teacher today?
I don't know if it's better because it's my first headship. So had I been a head before, which, I'm really lucky, I've joined a borough where every 2 weeks all the head teachers meet, which was in itself a support network. But I remember looking on the face of some of the more experienced heads who were just thinking, oh my God, another DFE guidance, what do I do? And I felt like I was learning with them. So I wouldn't say better in the sense that I'm more experienced, but I suppose what it has made me is very resilient, because it was so tough. at the outset. And now I say to myself, well, it could only get a bit easier because the pandemic was so difficult. So I don't know if I'm a better head. I'm certainly possibly stronger than I might have been if I hadn't gone through the pandemic, maybe. Because, things like that make you, they make you tougher, don't they? You get over the challenges, because there were some low and dark days, trust me.
And how did you pick up, like, your staff? What would you say was, like, a general kind of feeling your staff was feeling at the time?
So the first thing I did when I joined my school, this is the first thing that you need to know, is I did what I call the 3 questions meetings, and I started that before I even joined. So I'd come in, I used to come in for the past, I think it was the last 6 weeks at my old school, 1 day a week, and I'd come in and I'd ask key staff 3 questions just to get to know them. Okay. And I vowed I would do every single member of staff. And then from that, I would do things like...
Not just teaching staff?
Teaching and non-teaching.
Okay.
The entire staff body. Because I thought, when are they going to get 20 minutes spent with me? When is that going to happen? Once I hit my headship, it's probably going to be all systems go. Yeah. I did that so I could get to know everybody and they could have a chance to talk to me. But from that, you pick up little things, How's your granddad? I remember you told me that they're unwell. So you just touch base with them. But also I had a fantastic team.
Relationships, right?
Yeah, it's all about relationships. Do you know what? There's a quote, the paradoxes of headship. You've got to have a capacity for aloneness, but also be a lover of people.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you can't work with people, you're not going to listen to what they say about themselves and tap in when they need you. So it's just being available.
You can feel it when leaders don't actually care, when they ask you a question. Yeah. And I think even just when I said to you then about seeing you pick up the litter, and your response was, what, you pay attention to that?
Yeah, I did.
I pay attention, there's things I pay attention to. So like, I was in a school in Peterborough recently, and it was one of the pastoral teachers. He was like deputy pastoral, so he was like deputy head of year. And I have not seen him for about 2 years because I haven't been there for a while. And I said, oh, how's the book writing going and stuff like that? He said, you remember that?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm thinking, I don't know why I remember that, but I remember. And then he's like, he was just buzzing that I just remember that he writes books. And I think it's just, you get what you focus on, don't you, I guess?
Do you know, the picking up litter for me, there's a big one. Yeah. Because I think... I imagine all heads do that when they go around schools. They see a bit of litter, they pick it up. It becomes automatic. So when you said that to me, I did kind of think, oh my God, he noticed that. I'd forgotten I'd even done it, because it's just by the by, right?
But so standards, right? You're only gonna accept what you stand over, I guess. And if that's your standard, then you can't tell members of staff to do the same. Or you can have even a non-teacher member of staff, if they see you pick up rubbish, they're going to think twice about stepping over something else. And environment is absolutely key, isn't it?
But even with the children, so when they see me picking up rubbish, sometimes they're next to me and I say, do you know what, guys, just give me a hand. Can you pick up those ones? I'm going to pick up these ones over there. There's no argument.
No.
They just comply. Hey, all right, miss. And they just... Whereas if you say, can you just pick that up? They might be, it's not mine, I'm not doing that. Just culture. Just model what you want.
But then it's also community, right? Because if we just accept litter in the school, then what happens outside the school gates, the community is going to be full of litter and so on and so forth. And obviously you only have so much control, but it drip feeds. Yeah. You're, like we talked about in the assembly, we are, I guess, preparing the young people for life. Yeah. What happens outside of the school. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about your story then, as short as you can, because there's quite a few things I want to dive into. But like the Hood to Headship, like I love the title. When I heard the title, I was like, I have to get you on the podcast. Why did you choose the Hood to Headship as a title?
So, I mean, I could bounce it back and say, what do you think? But I won't do that.
No, you can.
Raised, what do you think the title means?
I think the title tells me there's a huge amount of self-awareness and honesty of where you've come from. Yeah. And being proud of where you've come from.
Absolutely.
And the journey that you've been on. Okay. And I think that is... I don't think is done often. I don't feel like many head teachers probably come from the hood. Yeah. I don't know what the statistics are, but I think something like 71% of teachers identify as middle class. So for me, that's a strong title because I understand it from my background and I resonate with that.
Thank you. So the hood, I mean, it's short, isn't it, for neighbourhood. And the neighbourhood I was born and raised in is called Brent, northwest London. But particularly, there are 2 parts of the hood that I talk about, which are Stonebridge and Church Road. They're neighbouring communities, but I was raised first in Stonebridge, Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Stonebridge at one point was the gun capital of the UK.
Is that Stonebeasy? Is that
No, Stonebridge, North Wheezy.
North
Yeah,
Wheezy,
referred
okay.
to. North Wheezy just refers
There
to.
used to be a music artist I listened to back in the day called K Coat.
Yeah. Kate Coates from Stonebridge.
Yeah, I know he is.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
yeah.
I recognise the area.
Right. So it was the gun capital of the UK at one point, unfortunately. And that's where the police operation, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but they developed an operation to eradicate gun crime, starting with what was going on in Stonebridge. Now, I grew up there as a child. So when you're a child, it's all fun and games. You don't really realise the dangers. You know, going through the estate, you see things, but it's part of what becomes what somebody would say wallpaper. You just ignore it, or you just think, well, that's how it is around here.
Wow, I like that.
Right?
The wallpaper. I like
Yeah,
that.
because you walk past wallpaper every day, so you forget what it looks like.
Yeah, you
Somebody
do.
asks you, what's the wallpaper like in the corridor?
You don't know.
You think, don't know. But
Yeah.
it's there, right? So if I see the guys that I know are drug dealers, and I come out of my estate or my flat every morning and I see them in the same place, doing the same things all the time, eventually it just becomes wallpaper. They're not troubling me, they're not causing a problem, they're just there. Except they are a little bit of a cancer to society, aren't they? Because they're selling something that eventually is going to cause harm and has caused lots of difficulties. Both of those neighbourhoods are essentially known as areas where people from most deprived incomes come from. And I was from a deprived family, but not because of a lack of hard work and dedication. I lost my mum as a young child. So I talk about that. So my dad went from being a happily married man, 3 children, living in another part of North Wheezy, Neasden, and then bam, my mum dies of cancer when I was 6.
Wow.
So he's a single man, raising 3 children
How old
on the
other
Stonebridge
children?
estate. My brother was 8 and my sister was 14.
Wow.
Not to mention, they weren't even in the UK for that long.
Okay.
So they'd been raised back home and then came over.
Where's
Had
back
mum for
home?
2 years, Ghana,
Ghana,
West
nice.
Africa.
Wow.
Had her for 2 years and then lost her. So it
Wow.
was a bit of a traumatic time.
Can you remember her?
Yeah, very clearly.
Can you?
I remember her laugh. She was always laughing.
Wow. Get emotional. You talk
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And it was a hole. It was a hole in our family when mum went, because it's your mum, isn't it? People always cry out, mum. The first thing you need help, mum.
Yeah.
You know, so I was predominantly raised by my dad. So my husband said I've got masculine energy as a result.
Yeah.
You might have seen a bit of that earlier on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're raising these 3 children on the estates, and they're both 2 estates. So we moved from Stonebridge after mum died, went to Church Road. The idea of having a better environment, but it was still an estate. A real sense of community though. And I've put in there a couple of stories and examples which I am happy to live today. One such example being in a car with an at the time boyfriend and driving to a part of the Stonebridge estate, which I thought he was just going to see a mate, ended up being a drugs house. And I remember at one point going to sit in the car, not realising where I was being brought to, because I wasn't told.
Yeah.
Because I'm just, you know, it's an expectation that, well, you're part of us, aren't you? Just come along.
Just chilling.
But that wasn't my value system. Yeah, it was afterwards I thought, phew, is that where I went? Is that what he was doing? There have been so many people that I have physically, personally known who have had relatives who have lost their lives from gun crime, or children I've taught, because I taught in the neighbourhood too. I then taught in the local secondary school. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to give back to my community, and I wanted to give some hope and desire and open the minds of young people, because my subject is modern languages, which again, somebody like me doesn't normally go into. When I studied it, it was more for the elite. I did French and Spanish. Everyone on my course was either French, Spanish, came from those speaking parts of the world, went on holidays every year. I ended up working throughout my whole degree because I couldn't afford to do anything else, right? So when my friends were going, I'm going off to Somerset for my summer holiday, what are you doing? I'm like, I've got a summer job.
Yeah, I get it.
I've got to work.
Yeah.
It's me and my dad at home, and I've just got to contribute to the bills. So I went to teach at a school that was a local school. And because many of the community came from the neighbouring homes, I witnessed a lot of what was going on. There was an organisation called Not Another Drop, and my husband used to contribute to that work. And not another drop means not another drop of blood from our community, please. Enough is enough. And they did a march, and I went on that march. But before I went on that march, and it's in the book, and I don't mind sharing this part, I remember my husband bringing back the local newspaper, which was called the Willesden and Brent Chronicle.
Yeah.
And they dedicated it to Not Another Drop. And on the front were about, I'd say, 15 faces of young men, predominantly, I think, that had been killed by gun crime. And I burst into tears. And do you know why I burst into tears? Because as I looked at them, I said, that's my ex-student. That's my ex-student. That's my ex-student. And there was one in particular who I was very close to in terms of trying to get him out of what he was doing every day when he would come to school after having been doing some robberies at the weekend. And I would say, just try and listen to your gran. And he was on that newspaper. And when I saw that, I just burst into tears. Thought, this is horrible. I shouldn't have to see this. And I was still a fairly young teacher at the time. And you try your best to save them.
Access education software is there for those busy school days, for the chaotic mornings when getting out of bed without a coffee can feel impossible. We're there for the multitaskers, for the cashless lunch payments, the fussy eaters, and the ones that always forget the school trips, the letters home and the countless emails. And we're there for the teachers, making sure everyone's paid accurately and on time. And we're no stranger to the world of education-related pensions. We're there for the time off, whether you choose it or whether it chooses you. We're here for those looking for the best, for those focusing on developing and empowering themselves and others, and for those looking to build their teams. We're there for those tasked with keeping the budget in check in challenging times, for those planning the recommendations to governors, for budget monitoring and those that need to report on adjustments throughout the year, for those planning the next budget and the next and the next, for the years to come. We're here for the information seekers, insight detectives, and real-time data warriors, for those that need accurate reports generated in minutes. We're here for the children, for those that want thousands of award-winning, easy-to-digest learning videos across more than 30 subjects, in multiple languages, for the anxious exam takers, and for every single person that wants to make education great. Once the school day is done, we'll still play our part. We're still there for updates and to keep parents informed, and for those homework assignments and all-important grade boosts. We're still there for the governor meeting and the parents' evening, the after-school clubs and the extracurricular classes. And as for the hard-working teachers and staff, we're here, hoping you can find a little extra time in the evenings to unwind. So when the day comes to an end, teachers, parents and children across the land can rest easy, knowing that Access Education software will be there tomorrow to lend you a hand. Access Education, giving you the freedom to put education first.
Is London as bad as it is portrayed in the media for knife crime still?
I think so in some parts of London.
Okay.
I do.
And is there a way to eradicate knife crime? What is the...
That's a $1 million question.
Yeah, okay, got you.
What I would say is, why is it that some communities don't have to contend with that? I think it's value system. I think it's what the government allows parents to do. I'm a firm believer in...
What do you mean parents to do?
So, discipline. We are now in a position where some families, some parents are more afraid of the consequences of social services than the consequences of being firm with their children. Does that make sense? And I'm not saying you need to beat your children black and blue, but I think that we've gone a little bit too much the other way, where...
Soft parenting.
Where we've said, because some parents have been abusive to children, that's never excusable or acceptable, but because of that, let's have a one blanket rule that nobody's allowed to discipline their children in any way, shape or form. And unfortunately, what that's translated to, if I shout at my child or I'm too harsh, my child might make a claim and then social services are interrogating. So as teachers, sometimes you know that parents are coming from some communities where that is acceptable, corporal punishment, and we're not advocating that, but there are methods and means that you can use to be firm with children, know where they are at night, speak to them. In fact, get to know your children. And so I think that's been lost a little bit. And as a result of that, I think it has made it a little bit harder now and less controllable in London.
What type of community do you serve here in this school?
So this Harrow is one of the most diverse boroughs in Europe. And my school particularly has children who come from, it's really diverse. I mean, the first day I came to this school, I remember doing an assembly, and as the children filed in, and you might have noticed that today, I thought, God, if I had a globe, I could put a pin in every part of the globe,
you really
just on that first row. Did you see that?
You really could.
Beautiful, very large community that coming from abroad, different parts of the world, at different times of the year, different all over the parts. So Afghanistan, Iraq, Poland, Romania, you name it. We have such a wealth. I mean, every year I look at our census and I see languages and I think, oh, I don't think I recognise this language. But we have 17 out of all the 17 communities here.
Wow. One thing you said when I talked about standards in my talk, you said that you sweat the small stuff. This is why we sweat the small stuff.
Did you like that?
Yeah, it's true. And a head teacher up in Longsight in Manchester, serving a very challenging community there, and the community, the school they've built is unbelievable. Stephen, the head, and one thing that they say is we sweat the small stuff so the big stuff don't happen.
That's right.
Why do you sweat the small stuff?
Because it matters, and I think I got the term "sweat the small stuff" from a teaching and learning book. It's called Teach Like a Champion. That's what the book's called.
Yeah, I know.
And it relates to the classroom. But actually, if you sweat this, I totally agree with Steve, this head that you know. If you sweat the small stuff and let the children know these things matter and make them become habitual, then they're building very good routines. It should become, automatic. They should be automated things they do. So for example, I might say, if a child does forget, for example, their blazer, I treat it quite seriously for a number of reasons. I say, hang on a minute, when you're getting dressed, you put your pants on, don't you? You don't forget those, and this is part of it. You just get in the routine, put them all on. But the other part of it's a safeguarding concern. When you're wearing that emblem, I say to them, the world out there sees that, and they say, oh, you're one of Mrs. Manderson's babies. You belong here. There's somewhere you belong to. If you don't have that on, you've got your hoodie on and so on, you look like a roadman. Anyone can come up to you, anything can happen, and no one can identify who you are. So it acts also as a safeguarding concern. And it might seem small. Sometimes children say, Miss, I'm on my way home. Yes, but it's important. Sweating the small stuff. Being on time.
But Miss, it's only a blazer. It's only a nose stud. It's not going to stop me from learning, is it?
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Standards. It's a bit like what you said today. If you are going to get into the routine and habit of knowing what's acceptable and what's not, you need to start here. Get it wrong here. I don't mind you making mistakes at school. But I want you to know so that by the time you've left, you understand when you switch code, or when you wear your nose piercing, or when you don't need to wear a blazer. But you practice here and you get it right at school first.
Is there anything you've learned in your years of teaching, not just headship, that early on you live and kind of died by a certain philosophy, but now with your experience you realise that was just it just didn't work. It wasn't actually the right way. Like, have you developed and grown from a certain philosophy, or would you say it's been pretty consistent throughout?
I think I've been pretty consistent. I think it's really funny because some of my friends, when they discovered I became a head, they were like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So I think that there are some, even though the book's called From Hood to Headship, because obviously I was an estate child. I didn't always make the right decisions. I didn't always go in the right places with the right people, do the right things. But I had what I call bring back ability. So I have these values that are instilled in me. You might forget them whilst you go through teenage phase, but they're still dormant, they're there, and they pull you back. So for example, I used to go out a lot in the evenings, go out late at night and so on. And I'd try and burn the candlestick at both ends because I still valued my education. So I would still come home and I thought, well, if it takes me till 6 a.m. to study, I'll just do that because it's a value that I was raised with and it's just there. And I actually believe that studying is important for the mind, the brain, development, not just studying academic subjects, studying people, identities. Travel for me is an exceptional part of the curriculum, just knowing about other people and other nations and what goes on. So I think I've been consistent with having values that make me grounded and make me principled and disciplined. you know, which has probably helped in what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always mean you make the right decisions all the time. That's where you decide you need other people sometimes around you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've answered your question.
No, you have.
How you wanted it to be.
You said about if a student wears the uniform in the community, they know they're a part of this school. But the way you said it tells me that you have a little bit of a relationship with the community around the school.
I'm very local. So every year, when I stand up at open evening, at the end, I will say to the parents, I'm very local. So if you see me in Lidl with my headscarf and my slippers, don't worry, just come and say hi.
Yeah, got you.
I'm doing my thing. And I will respect your privacy as I expect you to respect mine. Before I joined this school, I went into the shops. We've got quite a few shops. You might have seen a parade of shops outside. I went into every single shop, introduced myself, said I was going to be the head at this school.
Wow.
And because I'm local, I know the chemist very well. I know the laundrette manager very well. I know the sweet shop manager very well. I know Tesco's very well.
So you're basically saying you hustle them like you hustled me today?
Hustled, yeah, absolutely.
For the first free assembly that I've probably done in about 10 years.
Do you know what? It's about connection.
No, it is relationships,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And also not making them afraid to come forward. So at Tesco's, when we've had a couple of children being silly, I've gone to Tesco's on a Saturday and said, oh, do you know what? I saw one of your students describe him. Oh, yes, fine, I'll speak to him on Monday. And they all know.
What about like controversial topic, vaping? Vaping is a massive issue in schools. Have you been to like, where are you buying these vapes from? And then I can imagine you marching down to the shops and be like, you sell my kids vapes again.
We've done that. I don't need to do that. Yeah. I mean, I think we're in a really good place with vaping now. Gosh, touch wood. These chairs are not wood. Let's touch yours.
There you go.
Because we had an issue. We had a real major issue with it. And
it's a massive issue everywhere I go.
Yeah. Well, we haven't anymore. We haven't anymore. We've eliminated that. We've eradicated it. I think also it was a phase with a particular couple of years where it was just like the new thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, like smoke. It's the new thing to do. Let's do that. Let's just do it. But it's got a very addictive nature. And with our behaviour management systems, toilets as well, monitoring, supervision, making sure that we're always on it. My team are amazing. They're really, really good. So we've kind of eradicated that problem to a degree. It's never going to be completely eradicated. You know, the other day I heard that there was some suspected vapors at the bottom of a particular hotspot. It's dark, it's dingy, it's away from the main part of the school. They're going to find their ways. I mean, let's remember how we were when we were 14.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So vaping is there. I think I'm losing my train of thought now because you were asking me about the vaping in the sense of big issues, right?
I just know it was more actually just about you going down, I guess, and telling the shop owner off for selling your kids vapes.
So what happened was we did have, when we had a huge issue with it, we would do occasional searches with the children. We'd find some. We'd ask them where they got them from. Of course, they're not going to let us know. But what you do have are some members of the community, one, or some students. I saw so-and-so buying it in X shop and Y shop. There were two shops. One of them was close by and one wasn't so close by. And I have a member of my team who we call the police liaison officer. So if there's any issues, he will contact the police and so on. And he marched down to the shops. But then what we did was, at the time, we had Safer Schools officer. And the Safer Schools officer popped in, just to observe and see what was going on. I don't know what happened. I don't know if anything came of that, but I think it's important. I didn't march down and say, look, you're selling vapes to my children.
Hi, I'm Iona from Ajurio. We believe in the power of leading through listening, and we work with schools and trusts across England to conduct stakeholder feedback surveys to help you find out where you are now and where you need to go next on the things that matter most. Get in touch if you'd like to know more.
How important is representation? So I think I sat down with Nadine Bernard, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously she's got aspiring heads, and I think she said on the podcast only 1% of head teachers are black, I believe.
Well, Nadine is a woman after my own heart in that sense. The whole point of me writing that book was a woman like me is not necessarily expected to get to headship.
So tell me about why is that important?
Because I represent, so I'm black African. So when you look at the statistics, at the time of writing anyway, Black secondary head, there are 22,000 schools, right? Black secondary head teachers make up only 1% of those.
Yeah, okay.
But because I'm Black African, that's only 0.2%.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And when you look at the 1%, that was at the time around 25 heads of secondary schools. Probably more in primary because there are more primary schools anyway.
Yeah.
I would say for every, I think there's 15,000 primary schools and the remainders are secondary.
Yeah.
So, you know, I knew from the reaction I'd get from people. So when they ask me what you do, I don't go around, you know, telling everybody I'm a head teacher. I usually say I work in education.
No,
My husband says, just say what you do.
Yeah. Stop trying to be humble.
Yeah, well, no, it's just, you know. And then when I do tell people, their eyebrows go up. And instantly I know they're thinking, oh. Now there's a whole story that they could be saying, someone like you, or wow, you made it, or, you know, there's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And my late friend Karen Giles, when I did my book launch, said, can you see those things sparkling in her hair? Those are the pieces of the glass ceiling that she's broken.
Wow.
Exactly.
It gave me goosebumps.
Wow. Exactly. And I'll never forget that. Some people say now it's a concrete ceiling at times. But the point is, I recognised that it's an achievement. And actually, what do I do in school? When children do well, I celebrate them. And I'm not saying big me up. I'm going to just keep it real here. But I'm saying, do you know what?
Roses sometimes.
I've gotten to a place where I can have a wider influence on future generations of children. Let me enjoy that and let me do what I can.
But so why does representation matter? So for example, when I look at your students and you define it is diversity at its best, right? Why is it important for you to be stood up there?
Well, it's because it's aspirational, isn't it? It's inspirational and aspirational. It feeds into the aspiration. Whenever I give an assembly to children, like you did today, I think there's a future me sitting there.
Yep.
There is somebody looking at me and my physicality that represents them, and they're thinking, maybe I can. You cannot be what you cannot see. So if you see it, you can believe it, because we're a very tactile nature. You know, I'm a God-fearing woman, so I know about faith and understanding that you don't see everything. But let's face it, we're humans. We like to feel and touch and know things are for certain. And when you see it, you believe it. You stood up there, and I'm going to say to you right now, there's a little Cameron there. In fact, the whole group of boys that came to harass you at the end are all, and they were from different diverse backgrounds, I may add, but they related to you, or you related to them. And they wanted to come and thank you, and they wanted to say, look, they were giving you that man hug that I call the man hug.
Yeah, I know that's the awkward hug that is he?
Sorry, I'm banging and I know that the mic's there. But you know, they were touched because they're thinking, he's tapped into something that I relate to with him. And representation does matter, because there might be a young white boy in the audience looking at you thinking, okay, if he can do that, it's not out of reach for me. And it's about inspiring young minds.
I think one thing that I like to do, obviously, as you said, you like to kind of see it, but also I think why a mixture of people come up to me of all different backgrounds is because in my talk it's never really, the first 5-10 minutes I have to share my story, right? But the rest isn't about me, it's about them. So that's why it's it's about pointing the finger at themselves. What can I take responsibility for? What can I be accountable for? And that's why I feel like I can go into any type of school, no matter where it is in Longsight in Manchester, whether it's here in Harrow, whether it's a private school, it don't matter, because it's not about me. I'm just a vehicle to deliver what I do. It's about them putting a mirror up to them and seeing what they can do. And yes, for a lot of these students, them putting their name down on the CV might be more of a challenge getting a job than if I put my name down on the CV. And it's about recognizing that. Does it mean it's impossible? No. But we have to step up.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what, Cameron? Sharing your story will still resonate with some. And also, you talk about names. We all know the old adage, you know, if you go and your name is, I don't know, Chinuke, and you write it on the paper, somebody might look at that and dash it to the side. But your name might be Mary Simpson, but you walk in the room.
Interesting.
And then what happens?
Interesting.
It's deeper than just the name on the paper.
Mary Simpson, you know. Where'd you get that from?
I just made it up.
Right, I know we don't have too long because you got to be a head teacher and all that, right? But
I'm gonna interview my sixth form prefects.
oh, cute. Right, let me ask you a question. If there was one person you could sit down with, dead or alive,
Oh God.
what one person would that be? And
Just one.
And they don't have to be famous.
My mum.
Yeah. What would you say to her?
I would say, how is it in heaven?
Mm.
And what's it going to be like when I get there? Will I see you? And I would probably say, I've missed you and I wish... No, actually, do you know what I would say? I'd say thank you for being my guide, because I always believe that she's always there, watching over me.
Can you
You're
feel
making me
her
emotional.
sometimes? You're making me emotional. And if
Can
you
I
had-
feel her?
Go on. Yeah.
Yes, I would say I used to feel her more, and I will share that I've just lost my dad. Maybe that's what's happening to me as well. So I've said they're both reunited now. And her presence, when I was younger, I definitely used to feel, honestly, like I had somebody just watching me wherever I went. But in my book, I talk about guardian angels, because I think along my way, I've also had allies and advocates and people that have supported my journey to headship along the way. That could be her spirit being passed on, who knows?
Wow. If you had a magic wand and you could change one thing in education, what would that one thing be?
Funding. Make sure that, I don't believe that any school should be struggling to determine what they need for their school to make things better for the children. It's a nonsense. That's easy for me. If I want a really nice building, we're sitting in one now because we had to save damn hard to make sure that we met what we needed for a bid, so that the quality of the premises that the children and the staff are teaching and learning in is good. I shouldn't have to scrimp and scrape. I think all schools should be built to a certain standard so that there's quality resources in it. That's it. We're in the business of, we are the guardian of the nation's children. We need to make sure that they've got experiences in environments that are conducive to their learning, so they can go out there and be what they want to be and help us to do it better.
Especially as everything is the school's fault, right? Because, you know, when you look on the Facebook group or what's the schools doing about this? What do you mean? The kids are only in school 18% of the week. What about the other percent?
I mean, you asked me one thing, what I'd learned earlier on, and I will come back to that, is I also learned that the school is the hub of all societal ills and the remedy at the same time.
Wow.
Everybody looks to the school, yeah. During the pandemic, everything came our way, or my way as the head, to deal with. The countless letters and responses. But it's because people were living in uncertainty, panic and fear. And the one thing that's certain that most people have done, they've been to school. Most people in the world. So they know that schools are always going to do the right thing and look forward to helping children.
So you talk a huge amount about your mum and your dad, and obviously you've recently lost your dad. But also at the beginning you said you are a mother first. Really personal question, maybe a selfish question, just because I think about stuff, and now being a father of 4. How old was your mum when she passed?
So my mum,
Yeah.
oh, she was 41, so she was quite young when she passed.
So you've outlived your mum?
I have, and actually I celebrated birthday and cried. Said I can't believe I've gone. I was always looking forward to the day when I would pass.
And
the
how
age
does that
she
feel?
passed.
Yeah, how does that feel? Like what?
It was good. I mean, that was quite a while ago. I'm a bit older than that now.
No, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah.
But like,
so yeah, it felt good. It felt good, and it gives you purpose in life. Like you're gonna make the most of it.
yeah. And what does being a mother to you look like? How old are your children? What?
So I've got 2 boys.
Okay.
But I'm a stepmom to 4.
Okay.
They don't live with me now. The stepchildren are grown now. But I've known them since they were very, very young.
Yeah. So 6 in total.
Yeah.
Wow. And your boys?
My boys that I've given birth to are now 19 and 20, so one after the other.
Wow. How's that for you? Like managing teenagers in a school,
Do you know what?
being the head teacher, telling them what to do, but then you go home and your teenage boy, oh, shut up, mum, and shuts the door.
Well, it's not easy, and I'll tell you why it's not easy, because first of all, when I joined this school, I said to them, I'm going to be the head at the school that your friends go to. That was the first thing, because they're very local.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that all right? Yeah, mum, it's fine. And then I got here and I knew all their friends, and they all knew who I was. And one of my children, let's just say they're chalk and cheese, one is very demure, does what he needs to, and the other one is a wildcat. always out, always well. So I'll come to work and I'll be talking to the young boys, you know, year 11, say that age, and thinking I could be talking to my son, telling them off. Why are you late? Wear your uniform properly. What are you doing? Pull up your trousers. And I think, I sound like I'm talking to my son. So I go home and I repeat the conversation again. And sometimes, because I want so much from the children here, I go home and if it's not quite the same that's going on, I feel like, this is really difficult. Am I failing at being a mum?
Yeah.
I'm doing better with the kids at school than I'm doing with my own children. That's a real challenge. If it's because you feel like a fraud, or you're not quite getting it right, have you mastered that? And people will say, they're children, they've got their own mind. And I've learned that actually, yeah.
But they also respond differently in school to when they're comfortable at home. They feel comfortable to push boundaries. And I always remember I delivered a big staff conference once, right? And it was all around standards and low expectations of what they look like and this and that. And I was like, this is what we do with behaviour. And I went home, my 11-year-old daughter rolls her eyes at me and stomps up the stairs. I'm thinking, what do I do?
Exactly.
That's interesting to me. That's very interesting. How did being a mum to like teenage boys and even being a stepmom as well, like, did that help you in teaching, do you feel?
Yeah, I think what it does, it gives you a great sense of empathy with parents. Because I've divorced now children's actions from, you know, you might say, oh, they're raised badly or they haven't been, they've got their own minds. And sometimes the parents are doing absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And they still decide to make the wrong choices. They might do drugs, or they might decide that they're going to vape, or they might decide that, you know, they're going to rob a shop, or or simple things, they're just continuously coming late and can't be bothered to get out of bed. And the parents are pulling their hair out.
You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it, right? Do you ever feel like, when you talked about doing better with some of the teenagers that you work with in school than your children at home, do you ever, because technically you probably spend longer with the children in school than you do with your teenagers or your children at home. Have you ever played with the idea of like feeling guilty about that and that kind of work-life balance? Because I know many teachers and educators, even anybody's working, just really struggling with that dynamic. Yeah. So like for me, one of my biggest insecurities is just being a crap dad. And sometimes I feel like I give too much to this, but I kind of have to. But at the same time, then I'm missing out on being the father that they need at home.
Absolutely. I started a blog called Journey to Headship, and I've got another one. And the image of it is a woman holding her baby here and a laptop here, cooking.
Wow.
Because that's how I felt. I felt like I was divided all the time. And often I would find that there were periods where I felt like I'm being rubbish mummy, I'd say. I'm being rubbish mummy, aren't I? I'm being rubbish mummy, I'm not here. Because I do long hours and I'm driven in my job. I get a sense of satisfaction. And I think sometimes, I'm looking after other people's children. I need to do a bit better looking after my own. I've gone past that.
Anyone, quickly, because I know we have to wrap this up, but any advice for anybody who may be there now, feeling that divide?
Yeah, I think own it and take gratification in the fact that you are there for all. If that's what's giving you enjoyment and fulfillment, if you're doing well by, whatever your job is, do it, because the children are very resilient. They are going to be okay. They're resilient. They will understand that mummy or daddy has to work long hours. They will understand that. Got you. Amazing. Thank you for making this happen today. We'll put all the links and everything to your books, your blogs and websites in the bio. But yeah, thank you again. Okay. Thank you, Cameron. There you have it, guys. Another episode of the School Podcast. Do all the good stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, share this podcast, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
My name is Sian Lord, and I help deliver the Girls Growth Programme, a programme that helps deliver impact for teenage girls, ensuring that they're happier and healthier on their school journey, with a big focus on relationships, friendships, body image, self-esteem, mental health and mindset.
I'm Natalie. I'm one of the leaders for our Girls Growth Programme, where we discuss important issues such as self-esteem, diet, exercise and confidence.
Think of 3 unhealthy habits that you have for yourself at this moment in time. And when you don't get enough sleep, it's harder to regulate your emotions and small problems can seem much bigger than they are. Exercise isn't just about looking good or staying fit, it's vital for your mental health.
So get in touch today to get the support that your girls need now.